Good morning, Tech Blast in 6th grade. I'm here to talk to you about this neuron structure group reflection. So you're going to work on this independently or at most with one other person. This reflection allows you to think back through the activities that you've just completed in Classcraft and will allow you to think about the structure of the neuron. That's this part over here. And then you're going to work through how that structure connects with the function, the job of that neuron. And that will be in your written reflection over on this side. You can either do that on paper, and we have plenty of copies, or you can do it on the computer here. So you could type your response. You would still have to draw your neuron on the paper. Okay, so the question here is to draw a picture of the neuron below. We have a number of resources that you've already looked at that label a lot of these pieces. In particular, I want to highlight BrainPop. So you could go back to the BrainPop, and I'll pull up this new tab. Log in. Remember, you log in with Clever, just like I do. And then you have to log into Clever. It didn't used to have this many steps. And now we're finally here. What I'm trying to show you is how to use these resources that we've looked at to make sure that you understand the question and the topic. If you recall, the video was neurons. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. And right here, we've got the video neurons. You have access to the movie. There's lots of other resources here on BrainPop, though. For example, you can pull up Newsella articles. So you can open that up in a new tab. And we actually had you read one of these articles, or that was an activity that you could look at. You also could review the quiz. This FYI is kind of fun information. So you can go in depth. You can look at the connection between smoking and your brain. It's terrible. Don't destroy your brain. Here's some work on it. It used to be, and honestly, I used to teach this, that you couldn't create new brain cells. That's not true, but it did take scientists until 1998 to figure that out. It took me a little bit longer to get there, but it takes a little while for information to trickle out from the sciences into the general public, like you and me. You could look at careers. So neurosurgeon, I'm pretty sure I'd barf right on that guy's brain. Sickness and health, and even a comic. That's hilarious. All right, but swinging back to the video, there's a piece in here about the structure of neurons. So as you walk through, so here's, for example, myelin sheath surrounding the axon. So all of that information that you would need in order to complete the diagram is here. But further, if you didn't want to just go back through BrainPop, Google is an amazing tool. So neuron structure, that's what the question asked you about. And you're going to get a number of articles. You can also check right into Google Images. Now, normally Google Images is a terrible place to start, but you're literally working off of a picture, and look at this. We've got a bunch of pictures. Now, some of these are more technical than what we asked you to do. For example, we won't be learning about these parts of cell organelles until much later in the year. And axon hillock, you never actually have to worry about. But that said, let's just take a look at this. You know, this whole thing is the axon. A hillock is just a kind of fancy term, a little more specific term for a hill. And look at that. It's the hill coming off the cell body that leads into the axon. Science isn't crazy. It sometimes makes sense. Okay, but here you've got a bunch of those names that you are looking for. So, for example, dendrites, the cell body or soma, axon, synaptic terminals. Terminal means ends, synapse. That's one of the things that you're labeling. It's the end piece. You can also look at some of these other diagrams. And again, some of them go a little bit more specific. For example, these node of Ranvier. I'll give you some extra credit if you look up who Ranvier is. I don't actually have a good answer on that myself. Teach me. The Schwann cells, which are connected with the myelin sheath, And so by cobbling together some of these resources, you'll be able to assemble your complete picture. That said, BrainPop does it pretty well for you. Okay, swinging on back, if you're thinking about how the structure connects up with the job of that neuron, which is the second part, you can go ahead and start to think about what those different pieces do. Again, BrainPop really walks you through that. What does the dendrite do? What does the soma do? What happens at the synapse? What's the axon's job? How does the signal move through the neuron? Those are all great questions that you should be asking yourself as you think through the structure. Okay. And again, you could pull BrainPop back up. You could dig into the vocabulary. You could go through those articles, which wouldn't be quite as helpful, or you could go down to Google. How does a neuron work? And we could get some pretty good answers here. Now, some of these are going to be a little more technical than others. And you also have to pay attention to the reliability of a source. So looking at this, these all actually look pretty good. Again, some of them might be a little bit more technical. Khan Academy is specifically designed for students, right? Now, that would be students up through like high school. But this would be a resource that would definitely be aimed at somebody at least within a couple of years of your age. And remember, you've got the puzzle piece up here, which would allow you to have the website read to you. Okay, I'm going to just swing on back through our resources and pop into this document. Hopefully this has been helpful in helping you find resources. These videos are things that you can bounce into. You can pause while you go and do some of that research and then restart. They're designed to help you think through an assignment. So at this point, you should have labeled the structure of the neuron and then thought about what the job of that neuron is and how it connects up with the structures that you labeled right over here. If you have questions, you can always raise your hand, but I would recommend first asking your partner. I think that you'll get a lot more out of having a quick conversation with a peer rather than trying to get an answer out of a teacher. Thanks so much, and good luck on this assignment.